Do you think your beautiful green eyes are due to natural pigment? The truth is, the human body doesn't actually produce any green pigment in the iris at all. And there are actually 11 different variations of green eyes, as well as hidden advantages that are silently supporting your life. 1. The truth about green eyes and optical illusions. The concept of green eyes is actually a massive oversimplification. Unlike brown eyes, which get their color from actual brown pigment, green eyes are a visual trick. They are a masterclass in physics, light, and genetic architecture. True green eyes are extremely rare, estimated to appear in only about 2% of the world's population. But within that tiny 2%, there lies a completely wild and diverse spectrum. We are talking about distinct structural phenomena that create 7 completely different visual experiences. Light manipulates the architecture of the eye to create these stunning variations. What you think is a single color is actually a complex optical illusion. 2. Emerald green, or the true gemstone hue. This is the holy grail of green eyes, the kind you see on magazine covers. It is vivid, solid, and extremely distinct. Unlike olive or aqua types, emerald eyes don't seem to change color all that much. They hold a strong grass green hue regardless of the lighting. The stroma is clear enough to scatter light effectively, creating a blue base. Emerald eyes possess a much higher concentration of the yellow pigment lipochrome. Strong blue scattering plus a strong yellow pigment equals a vivid, unmistakable green. The fibers are arranged in a way that allows light to penetrate deep into the iris and bounce back, illuminating that yellow pigment from within. It's similar to how a laser beam travels through a gemstone. It is a recessive trait requiring a very specific roll of the genetic dice, making it one of the rarest confirmed phenotypes in humans. 3. The hazel variation, or multicolored chestnut green. Many hazel eyes are actually green eyes with a concentrated burst of melanin. This is often called central heterochromia. The outer ring of the iris is true green, caused by that same light scattering. However, closer to the pupil, there is a distinct concentration of brown or gold melanin. The magic of this eye type lies in its dynamic nature. Because the pupil dilates and contracts based on light and emotion, the visible amount of green versus brown actually changes physically. When the pupil shrinks under bright sunlight, the outer green ring is maximized, and the eyes look truly radiant. When the pupil dilates in a dark room, the green gets compressed, and the brown center takes dominance. Their eyes change with their mood, which is simply the mechanism of the iris curtain revealing or concealing different layers of pigment. 4. The aqua variation, or mesmerizing turquoise. This is often the most confusing type because it sits right on the border between blue and green. This eye type relies on something called the Tyndall effect. There is almost no melanin in the front layer of the iris, known as the stroma layer. When light hits it, the shorter blue wavelengths scatter intensely. There is a tiny, microscopic dusting of a yellow pigment called lipochrome. When that scattered blue light mixes with that faint yellow filter, your eye perceives a vibrant aqua color like sea glass. The appearance seems to shift based on the shirt you are wearing or the weather outside. That is just the physics of light scattering changing, based on the surrounding environment. 5. Warm and somewhat classic olive green. This variation carries a lot of history in genetic research. It breaks the rule that green eyes must be a light color. Olive green eyes are characterized by much richer depth and abundance. They have a matte finish that absorbs light differently. Biologically, this is the result of moderate melanin levels. You have the same light scattering creating a blue base, but it is overlaid by a thicker blanket of natural brown melanin. The intensity is muted, and the color becomes moodier and more complex. It creates a soft, inviting look that many feel is trustworthy and warm. 6. The gray-green variation, or mysterious slate color. This is a fascinating hybrid phenomenon. This variation is like quiet slate tiles under a cloudy sky. The structure of this eye type has a slightly thicker collagen density than standard blue eyes, altering how light is scattered. The combination of cool gray tones and a faint touch of lipochrome pigment creates a quiet yet incredibly sharp beauty. In low light conditions, they are often mistaken for pure gray, but when stepping out into the sun, a deep green hue unexpectedly lights up. 7. Forest green, or the deep green of ancient woods. These are the darkest colors of the green spectrum and are often mistaken for brown in dim lighting conditions. The biological difference here is density. In darker green eyes, the iris's collagen structure is thicker. When the stroma layer is dense, it doesn't scatter light as strongly as in lighter colored eyes. It absorbs more light, combining with a moderate amount of melanin to create a rich, contemplative, and intense color. In a clinical context, people with this eye color have slightly better protection against UV rays compared to those with pale eyes. It is a functional beauty. giving the gaze a sense of solidity and certainty. 8. Mint green or pale and mystical peppermint. This is perhaps the most ethereal and striking of them all. These eyes can look almost transparent. The science behind mint eyes is an extreme lack of pigment. The stromal layer is very loose and contains very little melanin and just a whisper of lipochrome. Because there is so little matter to absorb light, almost all of it gets scattered back. The scattering shifts from blue-white to a pale mint green. Observational data indicates that individuals with this eye type are often more sensitive to bright light, photophobia, because the iris allows more light to pass through to the retina. The black center looks stark against the pale iris background, creating an intense, focused gaze. 9. Green mixed with gold or vibrant amber. This is the rarest and perhaps most visually complex type. Amber green eyes are green eyes that have been gilded. This phenomenon occurs when lipochrome, that yellow pigment, is deposited heavily but unevenly. The yellow sits on top in distinct clouds or rays. The eyes look green in the shade, but the moment sunlight hits, they flare up with tones of gold and copper. In these eyes, the result is a metallic sheen. It is a look often associated with animals, wolves, or big cats, so it is frequently described as wild or exotic. 10. Visual accents from the dark limbal ring. The limbal ring encircling the outer edge of the iris is often overlooked in morphology. This rim is actually a layer of densely concentrated pigment at the outer edge, helping to define and highlight the green color in the center. The appearance of this dark border creates an optical depth effect, making the eyes look larger and the gaze more intense. These contrasting rings tend to fade as we age, making those who retain them into adulthood extremely special. 11. Time eyes and the ability to shift color flexibly. These eyes seem capable of changing color according to the environment. Many people describe their eyes as mood rings. This transformation is partly due to light scattering reflecting the colors of the surrounding environment. For example, a purple shirt can make the green hue in the iris appear more vibrant. The aging process also alters the structural density of the iris fibers. The iris is not a static painting, but a living optical system continuously interacting with light and time. Conclusion: more than just a color asterisk, green is just a label we put on a complex reality. You aren't just seeing a color, you are seeing the specific density of their collagen fibers. You are seeing the exact amount of melanin their ancestors needed to survive in their environment. Don't just look for color, look for structure, look for light, look for history written in the iris. Which of these 11 types is closest to your eyes, or which one do you find most captivating? If you enjoyed this deep dive into the hidden science of our eyes, hit the like button and subscribe right now. And if you've already hit subscribe, then welcome home.